Hello, and thank you again for joining us on this Human Design Collaborative. Here today, joining me, Diana Marie from Transcending Ascension, is Ta Groen from Living Our Human Design. How are you doing today, Ta?
Oh, excellent. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to continue and be consistent with our weekly podcasts. Happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. And consistency is the key to create any real growth. And I like that we're not just doing this for ourselves. I like that whole, I feel like a lot of us feel that pull to the collective to like, what can we do to serve, right? We have to find our ways to serve in the modern day world. And this just feels like a way, if that makes sense, like just to help and unpack things. Today, we wanted to dive into how human design it can correlate and work with energy healing and all the different ways we can utilize that in energy healing, as it will be a growing market in the coming years.
Yes, I love this topic because we all know that human design is about energy and frequency, and that's what healing is all about as well. Healing frequencies high, miracle, you know, miracles happen because frequencies change, and all of a sudden your body has the light and the capacity to regenerate, restore, rejuvenate. It's all about the energy in the body. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And I couldn't agree more. And I've had experiences myself. I've heard of endless experiences. And it's not always like the problem where all spirituality I feel like falls into is when they generalize things. Like Jesus did it this way, this is the way it's always done. Or
Mhm.
this is how you have to do it with meditation, or you have there's so many variables when it comes to healing, as in because the all is mind and that blueprint matrix that Princess Salt is so different. So what's some a way, like where would we start when we're looking into human design and the ways that it can help us heal? Where would we begin?
That is, wow, a deep, deep question. So I sent because the first thing that came into my mind was the cross of healing. There is actually a purpose. We have 12 profiles, purposes, and it's in your, yeah, the details are irrelevant, but there is a cross of healing, and it has gates that are in the G center, which is gate 25, and gate 46. And then there's gates in the root that have to do with the vitality and the joy of so then you put that all together and we go, okay, love of humanity, love of self, because that's the gate. Love of humanity is 25, gate 25, and the gate 46 in the G is love of self. So love humanity and self, the high I, and then the I here, right? The I am, and then the I here. And then you have the foundation or the root, the grounding, the material world. Well, we have to have vitality. And then we have to have the other gate was stillness, concentration. So vitality in the body, and then the focus and the stillness to incorporate the big I and the little I. Wow. I don't know where that came from, but that's what it is.
That's beautiful and perfect. That's what it all comes down to too. So yeah, I love that we can find that in human design, like that anchoring the higher self into, I don't want to call it the lower self, but into the incarnated self. Like, and
Right.
just the two working together symbiotically.
Yeah, and that makes me so excited because that gate 46 goes to the gate 29, which is the channel of discovery. So it's the channel from the G center all the way down to the sacral. And I have this channel, the channel of discovery, where everything is love of body, art for art's sake. It's abstract. It's being in the moment, in the present moment, and enjoying what is. That's that's it.
That's
So
fantastic too, because when we meditate and you're taught meditation, they don't teach you the channels, but they teach you that the answers will just come in that silent communication that just happens when they work together, and we're not even necessarily aware of it. Sometimes we're just sitting there going, "What's happening?" And we're just trying to keep our minds blank. But you'll notice as you go through your day, your work, your family, whatever you're doing, all of a sudden you have more wisdom, more answers than you would have if you didn't meditate. And they're coming out of nowhere, but the correlation's clear because when you don't meditate, that doesn't happen. And when you do, all of a sudden you have discovery in the self and in your life. So I like that. That's good.
Yeah, those channels from the sacral, the second center up from the bottom, to the G center, those three channels are about Kundalini energy, or the power of moving the serpent, right? We know all the yogic philosophy where there's this dormant serpent energy, and then the Kundalini rises through those three channels: the channel of discovery, the channel of a keeper of the keys, and then the other side, which is the logical circuitry, which is about rhythm and timing and patterns and logic. So you need all of it to create the healing frequencies that are just talking about. Yeah.
That's so. How does that play out first? Because when we have our channels, there's the left and the right, the conscious, the unconscious, and they're activated or they're not. How does that play out? So let's say one person has all those Kundalini channels lit, and the other somebody else has none. So what's that mean with raising their Kundalini practices? Is one person going to get it easier, and is there tips and tricks to help someone that does not have that channel to utilize that?
Yeah, that's the crux of what human design is about: the way we interact and we impact each other. So coming together as a third entity, right? You have your aura all the way over in Canada, and I have my aura right here in San Diego. And then we're creating this third quantum realm. Absolutely. And so those three channels that we were just exploring, one of my amazing partners, Charlene, had my stepsister, and we grew up together, and we have this incredible relationship where we're doing retreats together and growing um, our spiritual selves, right? Connecting, and we use each other. And what channel she has that help me are the channel of rhythm and timing, the logical, I can feel it, and the keeper of the keys. And then I have the channel of discovery. So imagine the Kundalini rising with all of that. And so I get to bring the discovery, right? I get to bring the abstract presence of in the moment. And she brings her rhythm and timing, that if she's honoring her sacral response, that timing transcends to the bigger I, to the bigger echelon of what we all need. And if she honors that, she's in sync with all of nature. You know what I mean? And so she's bringing that in. And then the keeper of the keys, the middle channel, the one who knows where the resources are. It's literally the one who can individually open up the door to the treasures, to the, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yes.
these three frequencies, and you're just like, wow, yes, bring it on. So I highly recommend, if you're in a entrepreneurial business, find somebody who has keeper of the keys from the sacral to the G. It's like, bring them on. Yeah. Isn't
That's
that,
amazing.
yeah, so it works like that. It's so fun to sort of understand how the universe works, through the human design
Yes.
chart. It's just so mind-blowing. It's
And
incredible.
it's I love that it's like in a weird, it's not brand new. It just brings more clarity in sense to so many things we were already doing, like group meditations. And when we go to like, I've been to like the group retreats where you're all in like the rounded dome, and there's just extra magic that happens. Even though you don't know these people, you can just feel it like when you're meditating with a group. And like it's because like we're all interlaying together, filling in the blank spaces in the puzzle, and just like building that up and up and up and strengthening in the we've already I've mentioned this all the time, but that they've done those 1,000 people meditations all in different parts of the world now, and they've all proven it lowered crime rates,
Hmm.
it lowered death,
Yeah.
It increased healings, like for the whole
Yeah.
city, even people that weren't involved, even people
Yeah.
that didn't know it was happening. So it
Yeah.
just like human design. And then we used to take this on, oh, that's just the spirit, that's just, the magic, which that's beautiful, that's not wrong. But human design gives us literally like people, the atheistic people of the world, the intellectuals are always like, prove it. Show
Hmm.
me the data, show me the science. Well, I think human design is our best way to be like, here it is.
Yeah. 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 And it brings me to this beautiful exploration that I've been doing this week, which is sacred geometry with plants, and
Hmm.
how the numbers are just, they don't lie. They create these frequencies through sound and through art. The mandalas that plants make. So we're that as well. We are that fractal. We have these unique fractal shapes within our human design mandala. And I can't wait to like delve deeper into how these numbers can create more images. So I'm exploring that with the geometry, because it is science. It is literally a layering of math. It's math.
Yes, and I think that's what we're going to head to discover is that's how things like Atlantis would have existed, and but then what we know for a fact of ancient Egypt and even the Mayans and the Aztecs had these pyramids and structures in general that mathematically lined up. They matched what the astrological things would have been at that period, but like how they can never figure out how they figured it out. They had a whole different form of math, and I bet you it's gonna fall when they finally put the pieces together. It was
Hmm.
sacred geometry. They were
Hmm.
using that some kind of formula from a sacred space to create our math. Not that our math isn't sacred. Like people, these mathematicians that are like atheists are hilarious because Pythagorean was incredibly spiritual. Like the founder of the mathematical system was incredibly spiritual. Studying metaphysics and the math was an accident. So
Hmm.
even in our own, it was getting there. But he discovered it almost like we were already in a fall period where a lot of the information was gone, where now we're heading back into the pieces coming back together. So
Hmm.
we're gonna the things we're going to do in the coming years are going to be look like Hollywood magic.
Right. And I think it's closer than you think. I think it is. Right? I
Yes,
think
yeah,
it
I know
is.
there's the
Really,
rumors
real.
that it's
Yeah.
true that like it already exists and they're
Yeah.
just keeping it from us,
From
and one
us. Yeah.
day, yeah, they'll just
Yeah.
show us and
The
bam.
reveal, the big reveal.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah. And when you brought up the question of how does human design help with well, can you rephrase the question again? Yeah, you're the
How
best.
does it help with
Rephrase.
energy healing? So
Great.
we have the cross. So that's just like certain channels lining up and making a cross within the system. That's what that's saying, correct?
Right. I brought that up because of my curiosity of like, well, there is a cross of healing. What gates incorporate that? And then I got to formalize why. Right. We discovered the big I and the little I. Right. The gate 25 for humanity, gate 46 for self love, and then the root, the stillness, and then the vitality. So that was the first thing that I wanted to explore. There was this other thought to compare how a projector would generate healing for somebody, and how a generator like myself with the channel of discovery would generate healing, and then somebody like your son who is a mental projector. So comparing those three ways of utilizing and amplifying their true self to impact others in a positive high frequency way, right? Because that's what it is. That's what it
Yes.
is. Yeah, and
Yes.
we talked about the mental projector and how incredible the the echelon of projectors are, right? The projectors are here to be our teachers, our guides. The ultimate is the mental projector. And so, um, yeah, what do you think about that and all of the
That is, yes, absolutely a good place to go because there's a lot of people waking up, and one of the main jobs people get into is just being an energy healer. So, for each energy type, what would be their best? Like, we're going to have to go as a whole right now, and then we can look into specifics. But as a whole, which if you're going to be an energy healer, what kind of energy healer would you want to be based on your type? Because I could just tell, like, from being a projector and not using our own energy, I can just already guess that's going to look a lot different than a being that's creating their own energy. It's going to probably be two different ways they're going to need to heal.
Yeah, and then that comes down to the actual broad topic of definition, right? How much uh, do you have a stream of energy from one center to the other center? You know, because that channel, if it's on a high frequency, is going to make an impact. So, for example, I have five channels that define 7 centers. Okay. And then somebody like a splenic projector maybe has one, right?
Mhm.
So their ultimate um, connection to their definition or their true self is the high frequency that they'll use to make an impact to heal. Does that make sense? So that one channel.
So, so does that make their frequency lower, or that one channel will just hold it all?
Yes.
Okay.
So imagine that one channel holding it all. And so the example of the spleen to the root, you have the channel of um, correction, judgment, the channel of struggle, and the channel of drive. You know, so imagine, um, I don't know, just imagine the channel of struggle, which is struggling for higher purpose, allowing that to impact somebody who is probably maybe not in a place of value or self-worth, or we're all usually, that's what happens when we're ill. It's not love of self, you have self-loathing or self-sabotage or whatever. So this person who has a high frequency, and they have that one channel, the channel of moving humanity to higher spiritual discovery. Imagine having that be put into the person who is not feeling that. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're getting that and they're going, oh, wow, I can feel that frequency. That's cool. Does that mean I'm that too? Yes. You're going to move us, struggling us to depth and to bring it out into the world, right? That's just
Yeah.
based on
So
the circuit
so
board
you
of
can
human
almost take
design.
it on your channels. So, like, somebody, like, there's career coaches and just life coaches. What's my life purpose? Somebody with that discovery channel would be best served. That's just one of the things they'd serve really well as, but as a life coach to that degree of what helping them discover themselves. Because there's a
Yeah, that
lot, it wasn't, yeah, an epidemic of people that just,
yeah.
it's not like they're lazy, but society's kind of burnt everything out of them. They were handed so many few options. Their imagination is rusted over, and they're going, I want a better life, but I don't even know where to begin.
Right. And so that frequency of that channel would pull in this opportunity or this spark or this frequency of, yeah, there's more than just this mundane life. There's all of that to uplift us and bring more depth. Yeah, so that would be specific for that person who's healing. So yeah, I thought maybe I can share what I offer as frequencies for my work that I do when I'm doing working with clients. I have a defined ego. And so most of the planet have undefined. You have a defined. So we could both
Yeah, I use
speak
that
this
too.
way.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know what it's like to be sure, you know?
Yeah. So you have the frequencies of empowerment in the will. Like, how, when that's at a high um, human correct place, that's healing. That's part of the channel of healing is that gate 25. I mean, what I'm trying to say, the cross of healing has gate 25 to 51, which defines the ego. So the ego is part of that healing that we bring um, into the readings or into the work that we do. It's through the ego. So only 30% have that kind of and if it goes south, it's very uncomfortable. So it's a very fast correction that needs to happen. And we can feel it. Can you feel when your ego is like going south?
Yeah, yeah. I have uh yes, it's very dramatic and it's very ugh. Luckily, Abraham Hicks saved me from that with her trick of if it feels good, it's a yes. If it feels it's a no. And I felt like I felt that. I've even teach my own people about that, that like that is an indicator. So that's stronger than in me because of that. That's that self-center of why like when things are no and I don't want to be doing something, like it's a really strong ugh, like a feeling.
Right. Yeah. And this is fascinating because I can go on a tangent here because that ick feeling, that
Hmm.
also represents my sacral. And
Okay.
but when you use it, you're a projector. So it's not sacral, it's only ego. So yes, it's so correct for your ego frequency to know when it's pushing itself into something that it doesn't want versus this vitality of will to move it forward. So imagine that healthy frequency going into somebody who has been pushing against their will, right? Pushing and
Yes.
doing things that they didn't want to do, and knowing that when your healing with your ego can help them recognize the the powerful health that doing what you love, doing what you like is going to heal the body, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually brings up a question, which isn't necessarily energy healing, but you mentioned how you're safe because you're sacral, you're intuitive too in the way you're supposed to have your authority. But it's said that you get like a little more information in your intuitive guidance, where the splenic is a wisp. It doesn't seem to
Mhm.
have an opinion. It's not biased. So that is that why you can feel the ick in your sacral, so it helps with the intuition. Where the splenic, there's no judgment. It's just kind of like a and then it's gone with no help. But I do feel that ick, but that's the ego, and then their two are separate. So where when it's sacral, you get to feel it in as an intuitive ick, so it gives you more information to explore. Am I right there? Or
Yeah, it's hard to really distinguish your ego from your spleen because they're connected, right? Because you have the spleen going right up to that ego. So that is your hit. That is your splenic hit, right?
oh, okay,
What
so
you
it
just
should
said.
listen to it. So I should listen to it authentically then. Like it's
Yes.
not just because that's especially because when you know it's like an ego thing, it's hard because I mean, like, I'm not one to say get rid of the ego and kill the ego, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be like monitored and managed. You know what I mean? Where you like you want to honor it, you want to honor the self, but then there's just certain things that I feel like the ego says no to that shouldn't be said. You know what I mean? Like I feel like everybody is always toying with that.
Oh, only 30%. The other 70% are getting affected by our out of balance or imbalance or high frequency healing from that ego or not. So that's the whole point of what we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
how are we able to heal? We all have an individual signature of aura. So we're all going to have different ways that we put out our high frequencies that heal. And when
Yes.
we're attuned to our pure positive high um the most important question always, the eternal purpose that we know is correct for all of us, is having that memory and that question of how do I connect to my highest purest positive self even more.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the
And
mission, right? And just any
yeah.
way you can, yeah, that'd be the next question is, what ways can we utilize human design to correctly connect to the divine personally? So, like, is there a way we can look and find in our charts that is our connecting space? Like everybody, like some people say they like meditation. Some people say like, oh, I can't connect unless I'm in a sensory deprivation tank. I can't connect unless I do psychedelics. I can't connect. But then we've mentioned before, we both have this specific channel where we can connect any moment we want and just, and like once I found that place, I did find it in meditation, but once I found it, I always had access to, I could be doing anything. I could be cleaning up like a poop smearing and still be like, like, and bring it back.
I love it. I love it. I really feel that that is because of our open root. The open root, if you think about it, it's either panic or not. It's
Yeah.
so fight or flight. And so as we have grown into these bodies, we know how to go to the stillness, because the other is busy, busy, rush, rush, panic, panic, whatever. If it flips, if it's going up to that, to the dark side, it's like heart racing, panic. So that's the place of wisdom where the stillness comes, that open root. So you're speaking through your open root, going, I can be Zen anywhere, because you've trained yourself to go into that quiet void of, because it's white. It's white. It amplifies. And then what does that mean? That means it clears out and it can be really super still.
That's so. What would somebody with a closed root, like my mom had one, and she was and she was also a Taurus, and she was very stable. She seemed very stable. Not that she was happy. So I never understood how she managed to, just because I could not, I can't be unhappy. Like if I have to do something about it. She could just be unhappy and not be going crazy. I'm like, is that the closed root? Do you think?
Wow, that's interesting. That I'd have to look at other parts of her chart for sure, because you can't just isolate. But the channels, it's really interesting. The channels from the root to the spleen, if she had that, those need to be busy. They need to release pressure. They need to exercise.
She was
It's a whole.
obsessed with exercising. Huh? Yeah.
Okay. So that's her way of getting zen. That's her way of releasing the pressure. We can just let it be not us, because it's
That's
not
the thing. Yeah,
us.
we never vibed. I was not a gym person. I'm fit. I stay physically fit. I love yoga, but like the really giving it, we would never agreed on that. And we're both projectors. But that, I think that was our difference there. That closed route and the open route just made everything. And she was always like way more practical. And then we have a huge population of more people that are like that. They're way more like practical. They're way more like, even when they're meditating, they want it to fit into like a regiment, and like, you know how society makes everything, right?
Yeah.
So would that suit though a closed root person? So that is thumbs up for closed root people.
Right, right. But to pull it back to the healing frequencies, she can still find that stillness once the pressure is released, and then there's this high calm that comes, that she's going to impact us with these beautiful. That's it. When I am next to a root, a defined root that is so zen in their body, so like rooted and grounded, it's amplifies. And I'm like, whoa, this is great. This person really helps me feel comfortable. I feel
Yes,
safe. You
she definitely
know?
did that. I thought it's because she was my mom, so that's funny. That's that closed root.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
then there's the healing that happens with the definition when it's connected to that alignment of true self. Yeah. And not going, "Oh my gosh, I got to solve this problem because my mind is open," or wanting to prove. If she had an open ego center, wanting to prove and improve herself, maybe that was part of the working out. A lot of people
Yeah.
do that who have open egos. They're like, I got to improve. I got to get those abs. I got to do this. And so they're like striving to improve themselves, through this will that may not even be there. And then they're like fatigued, make themselves
Yes.
sick. Literally heart problems, metabolism problem. Yeah, just not good to overdo your will when you don't have consistent will.
Yes, that's good to, yeah, exactly. Yeah, she definitely burned herself way out, which is a projector issue in general, just because society we're gonna move there though, and that's like why I think that'd be a main motivation for a projector to like get up and do what they're supposed to do and like change the world and progress the world, because they're not made for this world. And I could just see them all getting sicker way easier, because we are in an epidemic right now of health. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge crisis that even politicians are picking up as a buzz thing to tell us, because it's so obvious. Like one of the number one killers are Tylenol. Tylenol in America. Like that wouldn't even pass FDA approval today, yet it's on the market and handed out constantly. They used to try to take I spare the stories, but they try to get you to take it for everything, and they want to pay. It's endless the way we're bombarded with this,
Yeah.
and we're left with needing to heal. So, what would you say is another way we can use human design to dive into and find the best way for us specifically to heal?
On our personal designs, our personal charts. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Um, well, the deconditioning aspect, to really do what we just said with that, for example, that open ego overdoing it and just abusing their body because they're pushing through their willpower, and then the open sacral of the mother who's pushing through the generative fuel that she doesn't have, and it's inconsistent, and burning herself out. So that first step is to trust the frequencies in the body as your healing medicine, as your medicine, to trust the energy in the body, to get in the body, to do somatics, to do the movement, to do yoga, tai chi, to walk in nature, to drink water. You know, I'm drinking lime, fresh lime tree, and I use a analemma wand, crystal wand. I put some special salt from the Mediterranean Sea in here, and I hydrate.
Yes, it's so key. That's funny. I use Celtic salt, but I
Yeah,
it's the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Because if
yeah.
you don't
So
have enough salt, you don't take in your water. And a lot of people don't realize that. We're told
yeah,
salt's the enemy. Like, you mean table poison salt? Okay, sure. But
yeah.
there's lots of other kinds.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And then the citrus will pull away all those impurities that are like plastic. Think about how lemon dissolves stuff because it's pretty strong. So, and we have all these plastics from everything that we are. So, we literally have plastics streaming through our body. So, citrus
Citrus
to help.
helps. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because that's one of the things I heard that there wasn't yet a good solution to was the microplastics. And so citrus is said to dissolve them.
Well, to assist, there's not, I mean, there's forever chemicals, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, it doesn't matter what we do. And it's in the rain. So you have to be catching the rain and then somehow, but they haven't even found a way to get that out of the water yet, even if you
Right.
tried.
So the key is to alkalize. I mean, how do we just like do from, well, health is comes from the body. And so we have to get so attuned, especially with your intuition, your splenic hit, to like what medicines are going to be good for your body. Everybody's unique. I know that I love to clean out my liver and my blood, and I use specific herbs to clean my blood, to keep my cells and my blood healthy and hydrated. Yeah. It's all about the
Yes.
fluidity and the detox, the ability for the body to move toxins out and keep
And
it.
parasites. Have you heard the whole parasite thing? That's what
Yeah.
I'm on now. I mean, like, I'm always thinking about all of it, but when you just focus on parasites, it like naturally takes care of the rest, because the diet that gets rid of them, like it's a lot of wormwood, cloves. So you're doing a lot of things that are helpful for so many other things. But like the
Yep.
amount of parasites like that we're all given and have, it's off the charts.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And so I have mountain rose herbs here in the States that I use. So I do, and it's not very expensive. You just buy a bag of wormwood, like powder,
Oh yeah,
and you,
wormwood's not too bad. Yeah.
yeah, and then making sure the colon is clear
Mhm.
with aloe vera, things that clear the colon out. Yeah, so that the parasites don't have time to, like, hang out. Got to clean
Exactly.
that colon. Yeah.
Yeah. It's why
I mean, I
fasting. Yeah.
yeah. Ideally, 3 bowel movements, to clear that out. Colonics. hydrocolon therapy, all of that. It's just, it's a lot uh, to fathom that we have these toxic things in our body, but um, we have the capacity to. Okay, so let's pause a moment. This is fascinating. Frequencies. Parasites don't like high frequency. Did you know that?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have theories that negative entities that embody us use the parasites as like a physical anchor. Like that there's because it goes hand in hand when you cleanse out the
yeah,
body of parasites, you'll notice you've cleansed out negative entities as well.
yeah,
And that makes
yeah.
sense. Why they
Right.
put out high frequencies.
Right. So all we need to do is stay connected to our truest, highest positive self even more, raise our frequencies in our body, and naturally our reality will attract the things that are going to heal us, besides the environment not being cohesive or favorable for those entities to be present. That's it. Period. Right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I think one of the things we're going to come to realize is we always we have this fear of like this. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's a big thing. There's a whole subsect of spirituality now as well, but that the ETs are coming, and some say they're benevolent, but some say they're going to farm out the land and turn the earth so that it matches their standards. But I think we're hitting, like, I think it's one of those things, we have mythical stories, but they speak physical truths, and I think this is speaking the physical truth that the human themselves is not perfectly attuned for Earth. Like even the oxygen level on Earth it's not enough of what we need. And that's why oxidizing our cells and all that is such a big deal because there's actually
Right.
not enough oxygen on Earth. That's like why we die prematurely. And that's what they rumor. Maybe it used to have enough oxygen and maybe part of that Atlantean fall lost it. Like that's one of
I
those
love
rumors.
you. Yeah. I love where you go. I love how your mind thinks. Yeah, because it's all a reflection. This inner terrain is a reflection of our outer terrain. So when we, yeah, breathe more, it could be that simple. Let's just breathe more. And then all of a
Yes.
sudden, outside of us, we're going to have more oxygen on the planet. I mean,
Yeah, I
go,
definitely think
go
we can
figure.
manifest more. I know we
Yeah.
can manifest more. A tree we've never discovered is going to pop up in the Amazon and we'll plant it everywhere, and all of a sudden we can have enough oxygen like that or some similar
Yeah.
solution. Like
Yeah.
that, this is just how manifestations work. It's like turns out it's something that always existed, and oh, there you go, now it's here.
Yes. It's amazing. So amazing. I love our discussions. It's really good. Really good. But yeah,
Yes.
this was all about healing. Yeah,
Yep.
and we heal the inner terrain, and then all of a sudden what we see outside of us is
Yeah,
um
as within, so without.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just it's I think that's gonna be literally like what we find out is that inside every single cell is its own universe. Every single like we know this, but there's knowing it. And then scientifically, like Lisa's tooth, remember that Simpsons episode? If you ever used to watch The Simpsons, like there was a universe there. Like we're gonna learn like this is universe on top of universe on top of universe. And we have an outside God deity figure, but we are a God deity figure. So, like
Yep.
all the things we harbor inside of us, whether positive or negative, we are the ruler and commander of it all. And like that knowing thyself and commanding thyself and being as healthy as absolutely possible in this world. And then that'll create the next level where now we have more oxygen and it'll just keep growing.
Yeah, yeah. And being that for our children, just being that for the children is enough, actually.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was fantastic today.
Yeah.
I think I asked all the questions I have. Did you have any other things to add to healing with
Let's see.
human design?
Oh, I love it. I hear your little guy. The Let's see if anything is coming up about specifically about human design and healing. So yeah, I started talking about. I know this could go, but let's just see if I can do it quickly. Started talking about the way I heal through my channels, and we started with the ego, and then we realized we were both ego high. If keeping that ego in this high frequency of will help others not abuse their open. They'll realize, oh, I could rest. Oh, I'm gonna be like Ta and Diana, and I'm just gonna go take a nap when I need to take a nap, right? Do you take naps when you need to take a nap? Yeah.
I rest when I need to rest. And I've literally had people tell me that they have become more chill because of me. Like they've learned to
Yes.
relax. They've learned, oh, that's not such a big deal. Why am I freaking out? And like they let
Yeah.
things go.
Yeah. So that's that. So that impacts. And then my defined head and ajna, the two channels at the top, most of the planet have open space there where they're amplifying whatever is impacting their head. So when I am staying in this clear, um, obviously, uh, free of anxiety, doubt, worry, and fear. And I trust in my open root to keep me still and not be anxious or panicked, then that's the high outer authority frequencies that I'm giving. So that's kind of how I heal as well, through my defined head and ajna, keeping it really pure and um, relaxed, not anxious or worried. That really goes in because the mind starts, you get the mind going, and all of a sudden the emotions follow, right? So the
And we're
mind is
so programmed for
yeah,
adrenal fatigue. Like
yeah,
they want it stressed.
yeah. So keeping the mind free of that pressure is important for me to help my clients. And then what else do I have? I have that channel of discovery we talked about. And an I voice where I'm using a lot of manifestation of my voice for some reason, telling stories personally or feeling the personal of it, of the I, because it's the channel of money or the channel of control. So yeah, that's interesting to explore. I'm not quite like, what would you say that if 70% of who I was in that throat gate, and it was connected to my ego, which is the channel of control and power, how would that
I think
facilitate
it means
healing?
that you could command huge power. You could command huge manifestation. So, like basically being a leader in a crowd, if you were to tell the crowd to do something, there's a good chance they're going to do it. When you're coming from that utilized space, right? Of the throat control with the ego, that control, the ego, and then the throat, because it's that when you have that throat, you're more defined, meaning people are going to tune in easier. So I
Yeah.
would just assume that means you'd be good in
Wow.
like a crowd.
Yeah. So I am deconditioning from that, ouch, from that channel. That's my main place. So I really appreciate that guidance of a projector. But yeah, that's it. So because of that, what you just said, there's also the opposite, right? What is the opposite of not being or of being heard is not being heard, right? So
Hmm.
I'm healing that channel. Yeah. So we
Isn't
come
that,
from
yeah.
yeah. So when we heal, we come from our level. So
Hmm.
when I heal that, imagine, imagine,
Yes.
right?
It's similar to my open throat, I think, because when I manage to say something coherently, people are like, "Oh my God, I've never thought of that." But I have to take the whole openness of it and stream it to maybe that ego can help me stream the open throat together into something, because the open throat, I've noticed, it's the reason why. I mean, projectors do it in general, but like it has that formulation of new ideas. Like I can completely formulate something brand new out of a bunch, like it's like a, a scientist but on society and everything, because I'm not actually inventing anything, but I'm like putting two and two together and going, this is why society is doing this, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And it's just like
Yeah.
revelations, epiphanies, and I think
Right.
it's the two combined together.
Right. And then on a really material, a quantum geometry level, you and I are meant to be doing this together because I have that wound of the conditioning of not being heard, right? And knowing that that really is a powerful voice that I have, and it's gone through so much trial and error, and it's so impactful. And then you have an open throat, right? And so this
Yeah.
combination, we're healing each other.
Yes,
Because
it's
when I'm
beautiful.
from a when I'm from a high frequency, all of a sudden I'm getting mirrored my really really strong high voice, and when I am in that pity party or the lower frequencies, you amplify that for me as well. You know what I mean? It's just the way the open throat works. It's really
Yes.
powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's an order in the chaos as usual in the
Yeah,
math.
I know. I know. I love it. That's why I like, and one day, like, I just feel like we're just starting. We're just beginning with human design. Because I feel like one day when we fully understand, especially the math behind it, because I get it to the point where that makes sense. Yes, that looks correct. But there's that point, and then there's a higher place of knowledge where, like, I know this enough to implement it and use it and in every, you know what I mean, like how like the more you get versed in something, the more you can use it and apply it to so many different things. I feel like human design is that. We just are growing into it, like as a
Yeah.
society in whole.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just helping us remember who we are, truly who we are.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Exactly.
it. That's it. And yeah, wonderful. What a great discussion we had. I love
Yes,
it.
beautiful. I love today's. This is great. Thank you everybody for being here with us today.
All right. Until next time.